Welcome to Unverified News, where nothing makes sense and it's probably made up anyway. And this is our reaction. All right, and we have a wonderful visitor. Welcome, Atlas. How are you, sir?
Hello, I'm a person in a place with a thing. Nouns.
Which
Oh wait,
means
idea. I forgot about ideas. Damn it.
perfect.
Yeah.
And of course, my co-host is Sniffing Glue 22. What's up, Cole?
What up, what up, what up?
So, it has been a very interesting news week, I guess. I think that's the one way to pose it. One of the things that we didn't touch on last week is what we have done for this week, which is this specific thing.
I couldn't believe what happened at the end of the.
And that was one hell of a knockout, which, let's be honest, the guy got his ass kicked. It was pretty great.
Bro.
I don't know. I think I would enjoy the news more if instead of being like our top stories tonight, it's instead just them being like, you know what, the news, it's okay. Like
It's ridiculous, but
That's what
hey,
we're doing.
yeah.
what's
No,
happening?
I'm
now,
saying
Nate?
like if they did it for like mainstream media, I probably would watch like CNN or whatever.
That's the goal, Atlas.
Yeah.
Listen, and that's the ridiculous part is the news should be delivered without leading. It should just be information. What's happening, Ali AK? I hope you enjoy this. We're just gonna be talking shit about the news. So if there's something you want to talk about, please feel free to comment. We'll probably get to it because all sorts of crazy shit's been happening. I think the weirdest part has been the fact that so Atlas and I were just doing Generation Dan with a guest from Florida. And so Florida has continuously been a place where crazy things happen. But at the same time, you're like, hey, someone's got their panties in a bunch because now Florida students need a parental permission to use nicknames or alternate names. Has Ron DeSantis lost his mind? Probably. Hey, what's happening, Serge?
Well, and I know that's like a dig at like the trans community. I think that's pretty much what that is. But even if that's like you hate trans people, which I assume is what Ron DeSantis' thing is, like who are you to tell people in America, this country, you know, what you can and can't do with your own fucking name? You know what I mean? It's kind of an extension of my body, my choice, is it not?
Yes, and also that means that we now have to start calling him Ronald DeSantis. Otherwise, got it.
Well,
Like, I just
still.
imagine like the cops are walking around. That guy's name's James, and they called him Jim. Get him! Like,
But realistically, by current rules, if he has to go by Ronald DeSantis, we could just start calling him Mick DeSantis,
Mick. Did you say Mick?
like McDonald's.
Donald.
Yeah, this is Ronald. This is fair.
Meatball Ron.
Listen, it's a weird thing. If you guys, okay, so do you guys know who Greg Davies is by any chance? He's a comedian out of the UK. He is like 9 feet tall, fat, very fucking hilarious. He's not 9 feet, he's like 6'8", so he's very tall. But he does an entire set on funny nicknames, and one of them is a guy who he was childhood friends with, and he's still friends with. His nickname is Baghdad. Okay, now you would assume that has a racial connotation. It does not. He was in like grade 5, and he brought in a bag, and his dad bought him for him. So his kids now, like 30 years later, still call him Baghdad. That's his nickname. And you're like, it's an entire set. I'm telling you, it's some of the funniest shit you've ever heard.
Dude, the first time I heard the term Baghdad, I was like 9, and I thought that was the funniest name ever. I was like, that's the name of the town?
Yeah.
Now, I'm a Halo like vet, so like I know what a teabag is, but I'm like,
I'm giving you all the Baghdad there, baby. Yeah,
or like Timbuktu. That's kind of a funny name for a city.
it is.
Timbuktu.
A lot of names, like, and also like there's like Herpes, Wisconsin, which you're like, what the hell were they thinking, right?
Always
like,
fun.
Yeah.
Or a friend of mine. So back in college, we had 2 Alvins in our group. So you can't have 2 people with the same name. You got to do a nickname for something. Yep. One of them, his last name started with a W. So we call him Root Beer because his initials are A and W.
There you go. So I went to school with this girl. She was one of my best friends, and I really was trying to like fuck her for a very long time, but I got friend zoned. This is before I knew how to talk to women.
Fair. Happens to the best of us. No problem.
Right. I love how nonchalant that was.
Yeah, I'm just getting that out there before anybody
At least
else.
be honest about it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And everybody always in high school. This was high school. Everybody called her Autumn with the big boobs, and it always was like alarming to me, like concerning. I'm like, there's no other Autumn at this school. Like,
it's the sequel to Becky with the good hair that nobody wanted.
Everybody wants that. Like, let's be honest. Autumn with the big tits. You're like, I'll take that one. If that's an option, sure. Yeah, it's like, well, maybe it's like the season. No, with the big tits. Like,
I mean, she did have some giant ass knockers though, so like,
she's a winner.
Right.
No, listen. Realistically, that's the weird part. Is like, did you guys have any? Like, we all know Atlas's nickname is.
I swear to God, if you do this again, this was 10 minutes ago. I'm not doing this. Actually, this has happened this week where I am become teacher, educator of children, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So this entire week, I haven't been technically onboarded yet because bureaucracy. Yeah. So my principal made me come to like the professional development days and stuff.
Made you come, huh?
But for all intents and purposes, I'm ignoring that. For all intents and purposes, I wasn't there. Yeah. So everyone's just been calling me the Ghost.
The Ghost? Why do you get all these cool ass names? Fuck you, Atlas.
Dr. Atlas.
I'm not the one called Root Beer. My friend is.
No, you got Atlas Novak and the Ghost. Yeah. Like the only one that's not cool is.
Fine, go for it.
Assless No Cock.
Yeah.
Dr. Assless No Cock, MD. It is. You know what? Like realistically, you have to do that with a straight face. Like, you get mad like office vibes of Mr. Buttlicker. Where you're just like, no, my name is Assless No Cock.
Buttlicker, our prices have never been lower. Yeah,
exactly. Right. You're just like, what are you gonna do?
Dude, kids are fucking ruthless, man. Because like, my real name is Clayton Hicks, right? And I always went by Clay. My last name is Hicks, and so all of high school, all of my like ops would call me Gay Dicks. And I was just like, God damn it, man. Like, that's why I had to change my name. I had to change it. I was like, I'm not dealing with this with grown people. I'll punch somebody. Like, comedians? Nah, they'll think it's funny, too. You know?
It's like,
it is. It's very funny.
I mean, high schoolers will turn anything into a gay joke. Maybe not so much anymore with the, like, Zoomers and the Gen Alpha.
Yeah, no, that's our thing.
Only good comments will do that.
For, like, the Gen Xers and the Millennials, like, when I was in middle school, do you remember Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, the Otis Redding song? I was in the jazz band in middle school, and whenever the teacher wasn't there, we would say, sitting on a cock 'cause I'm gay. And like just like you turn anything into a gay joke from the years of like 1992 to like 2009 or whatever. Something about the financial crash made everyone suddenly cognizant of.
That's fair. Like I'm not saying that's not true. I'm just saying those are choice words that it's like the first guy who said everyone's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Right. But that's speaking of what the fucks, let's move on to the next article, which is the FDA has explicitly recognized that the doctors have the authority to prescribe ivermectin for COVID. Jesus Christ, could COVID just stay out of the news for 1 week? That's, in all honesty, just
who's in the news? I missed that whole thing.
Just more COVID bullshit and stupidity.
Oh yeah, well. You know.
It's not that it's bullshit. It's just kind of like, just go away, please. I'm done with you. You know.
Yeah, they killed everyone who's gonna die of it. Like, let's be honest. It was scary there in 2020 because people were dropping, but it was always people you kind of were like, they should have been outside a lot more. You know what I mean?
They were a bad sneeze from shitting out their entire intestines. It's not a real thing. You're like, listen,
old people, fat people, and then like the horribly diseased already. You know, it wasn't anybody you already didn't know was gonna die soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much that like the long COVID stuff. I think was the more scary part.
I mean, I caught it, and it felt like I had it for like a year, so I agree with that. But
Okay, but that's just the same as pneumonia. Is it can last from 12 to 24 months where it's still a burden on your body, which is fine.
But like, we don't really know how long COVID lasts for. It could be we've only been in this for 3 years.
Listen,
if someone has it, like you know, brain fog or whatever the
that
thing
brain
is.
fog, man, that shit was like I was like a legit stupid person.
I said it before and I'll say it again. I was promised bodies in the streets, and until I get it, I think that was a bullshit pandemic. Okay. It's like people are like, oh, I got brain fog. You're like, no, man, I wanted fucking apocalypse where I'm like, there's no traffic for the next 10 years because people aren't there to manufacture cars. Interestingly enough, supply chain has resulted in that, but still, it's not the point. Okay. It's not the point.
As somebody who takes a medication where the side effect is brain fog, I have not won an argument since 2010. This shit is not fun. And I really think that, like, oh, I got, you know, brain fog from long COVID.
It's the same thing.
It's
what?
Also true. He has a baby mama. It's the same thing.
So you're not missing much.
I feel like, Atlas, the way you could really capitalize on that is like to write down people who like win arguments with you, and then you're like, I'm gonna save that, and then I call them up in 3 weeks, be like, hey, I got a response, and just
like when you come up with the thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could make that like a character trait. I'll think about it.
I feel like you could do that even as a set. Be like, so the other day someone roasted me and I didn't have a response, but you know, brain fog. So 3 days later, I called them and let them know what my response was. Then you know,
no, it's not a bad idea.
I actually used to do that because I have ADHD, and then it really perpetuated like people's like opinion that I'm crazy. Like I have a loose like bolt or whatever. So maybe don't do that.
We've both met you in person. There's a good chance that you are crazy, right?
Oh, for sure. I knock on people's windows at night, you know.
Well, listen. Everyone needs a hobby. Speaking of hobbies, have either of you ever heard of the Antarctic strawberry feather star?
No.
Well, it is a 20 appendaged creature that was found in the Antarctic.
Why does it sound so like beautiful and hot and like I would knock her up?
Okay,
a name like that. I would be trying to smooth her for a while.
Not what I thought of. I was thinking like an ancient
some bird, sort of ancient evil like Mum-Ra with a longer name. Like it's living Antarctic strawberry feather star, which also sounds a little bit like a butthole, but like a fancy one. That's she
does sound like she does anal.
Like actively.
If Cole was Bruce Willis in The Fifth Element, that movie's never finishing. He just immediately jumps Lilo.
He's like, no, I'll go to jail after we do this. It's fine. I don't need an adventure. This is the adventure. I lost my job because of it. That's fine.
Me, Fifth Element.
Popovich was hot too. So
me, Fifth Element. Me, protect you. Yeah, that's great. You want to go over here? I know nobody comes by.
Backseat has extra cushions.
That is for sure. Like my death story. Like that's what's gonna kill me is me some shady shit. And she's like, "You wanna follow me into here?" I'm like, "I guess so."
I got time. That's fine. I wasn't busy. It's one of those things, right? So I don't know. I feel like life has a way of working itself out. Speaking of that, did you guys know that most recently the US women's soccer team had
I'm so tired of hearing about this fucking soccer team. Every fucking 3 years. Every 3 years we gotta hear something about them. They won in Japan when Japan deserved it because they blew themselves up with that transplant thing, and I haven't stopped hearing about them since.
Listen,
the soccer team, the girls' soccer team. I don't even care about men's soccer.
Listen, but the best part about this is that because of their the amount of times they are in the news, it has resulted that Netflix was like, hey, we're going to do a documentary. And the problem is that they started the documentary following them around, documenting everything, and then they are out in the first round. So their complete and abysmal failure is going to be obscenely documented and available on Netflix soon, because realistically they were right down to edit immediately because no win.
I kind of love that. I love the idea of them, like, they lose and they're like, all right, we have all this budget. Let's see. you guys want to, I don't know, get on the Amazing Race or something? Like, they just try to like segue it into something else.
It just turns into like, what do soccer players do after their season? And you're like, yeah, they have hobbies. Like one is like, I just knit a whole bunch of stuff, and the other one's like, I rollerblade and whatever,
Like whatever lesbians do, like like beat each other up
realistically
at McDonald's. Like,
well, mostly they just complain about equal pay, which you're like, that's a myth, but go on, that's fine.
No, it's not, but okay.
Yes, it is, Atlas. Do your research, sir.
I don't know, the equal pay thing. Like, I get why there's like the wage gaps like talk, but it irks me when female athletes are like, we don't get paid as much as the men. That's because nobody watches your shit. Okay, look at the fucking men's soccer team. They don't get paid nearly as much as baseball, basketball, football, hockey. Nobody watches any soccer. And the most interesting sport in women's is women's UFC, which those bitches deserve to get paid. And women's soccer. Nobody watches soccer over here. All right, go to Europe and try to get equal pay in euros.
Not unless you're my half brother, who is obsessed with soccer.
Yeah, but that's like 1 out of like 100 people.
I know. No. Here's the thing. He'll do this thing where he'll like any new person he meets, Ronaldo or Messi, and then if you give the wrong answer, he hates you forever.
Oh yeah, so he's like 13 and retarded.
He's 10, and yes,
that's fair.
Yeah,
it's just, realistically, that should last probably a couple years, and then he realizes he has no friends, and then he's like, maybe this isn't a good thing to,
Yeah, maybe it's not very interesting for me to hate somebody based off of. I would do that with bands, where I was like, "What's your favorite whatever song?" Yeah, so I think everybody does that as part of growing up.
Yeah. Well, at some point, and then you realize, oh, this is ridiculous, because you just can't stay. Because then you'll meet someone who's really hot, and then you'll be like, I just want to love you. That's fine, right? I don't care that you have bad taste in everything.
Right. Damn, man. Damn. That's like my life story right there.
I feel like in some ways, Cole, you are a chameleon. You're just like, I'll just turn into whatever you need me to be, baby. Just fine.
No, I'm 100% me, but I'll be ignoring everything that they are. That's what that is. I'll be like, you got so many red flags, but I'm a Taurus. And that's a bull, and they run right into red flags. So
there you go. That's how that works. Speaking of red flags, the other week we had a video we didn't share, but essentially is this video. I'll play a little bit of it. Free usage. Don't be. It was a video of a guy stealing from a convenience store. He proceeded to get the absolute shit beaten out of him by the two owners of the store. And the result is that the California Sikh 7-Eleven owner who beat up serial cigarette shoplifter with a stick will not face charges, as the Republican mayor says, as a thief is charged with robbery and vandalism. Atlas, you live in the cesspool of madness. How do you feel about that?
About the convenience store owners beating the shit out of the guy robbing the store and then not getting in trouble for it?
I was thinking more that justice was served, and finally we've seen a glint of light. But go on, please.
Yeah, no, that I don't think they deserve to get in trouble for defending their store. Like, it's very obvious. Don't come back here and take the shit. Otherwise, we'll, do something.
I think that's
no, that's fine.
There has been, like, I have enjoyed the stories of people who have been like actively shoplifting, and then what like Target and Walmart have been doing is just tracking them and tracking what they steal. So once it hits $3,000, you get arrested and it's a felony now, and then you get trespassed, and because there was a whole thing where the police wouldn't show up unless it was over $900, which you're like, that's retarded, but I get it. I understand the concept. So they're like, okay, no problem. Don't interact with them. Just let them take it. That's fine. And as soon as they hit the limit, boom, police are called as soon as you're on camera and there's an alarm. Like, they have a whole automated system around it. You're like, so it just, the cops get called automatically and you get arrested. And you're like, that is hilarious. But,
So I'm going to fill you guys in on something real quick. All right.
Yeah.
It's $1,000 in the U.S.
All right.
And it's within 365 days.
Ooh, so spread it out.
It circulates.
Yeah.
After a year, and I have stealing from everywhere.
That's not surprising at all. Like realistically, I know you have that
And I
spreadsheet
keep
where
track.
you're like, it's just yeah,
Y'all both know.
Yeah.
Y'all both know how analytical I am. I keep logs and shit.
There's an Excel spreadsheet that's just
I just imagine it. Well, because this is the U.S. World of chain stores, so you just kind of rotate.
Yeah.
Or like
1 week Walmart, next week Target.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. We got fucking stores everywhere, dude.
Yeah.
So that is a reasonable.
And
thing.
none of them are close enough to walk to. They're all fucking way too far to drive. And once again, another thing for me.
I don't even pay for fucking fountain drinks anymore because those things are like $2. You know how long it takes? If you get a $2 drink every single day, it doesn't even add up to $1,000 after a year. Yeah. So I don't even pay for fountain drinks no more.
What when you say don't pay for fountain drinks, is it you keep the cup and come back the next day, or what's your?
I get gas every day. I'm a fucking DoorDasher, right? So I just go in, fill up, and get gas, and just like wave at them. Don't even. They know me by now. They don't even care that it'll pay.
That's true. I bought 2 cases of White Claw for him, and they were like, "Oh, it's cold as usual." And I'm like, "You might have a problem there, friend."
Oh.
Yeah. And then he walked out with a fucking big glug of whatever, and I'm just like, "Why did you?" Whatever.
I don't really know because like my new workplace is like the school is at the end of this like cul-de-sac, and then at the front is like a burger place, and then a 76 across the street.
Okay.
So like,
what's a 76?
What gas station?
What 76 is?
Yeah.
No.
Whatever.
It's a race car gas station.
Insert name of gas station here. It doesn't matter.
Right. It's just a fancy gas station that's in the scene of a race, like a racetrack.
Yeah. Okay. So, like teachers will, if they have a minute, go walk out, get a soda, come back. So I'm probably gonna, make friends with the people who work there over the course of this year, just because like I'm addicted to soda. So that's just going to be part of my everyday, I think.
You got to give up soda just until the wedding. You got to get in that wedding weight, sir.
You think so? Yeah. Because I lost 15 pounds over the summer just by virtue of like being outside with the kids for, in 90-something degree heat playing basketball or whatever. And
luckily, you're in LA, so the heat will continue whether you like it or not. And
I have a different opinion on your wedding weight, Atlas. If you want to go on my side, I understand. My take on it is if I ever get married, I'm going to get fat as shit and just greasy, just eating cheeseburgers up until the wedding day. Every kind of fucking fast food I can think of, because if she can marry me at my worst, I know that shit's gonna last, and then I'll get into shape after the honeymoon.
She has come home and found me in a puddle of my own blood. I'm pretty sure she's seen me at my worst. So
you mean your coolest? What are you talking about?
No, it's not the fun kind. Like I beat up a bunch of robbers. It's I brained myself on the dresser. It's not.
Yeah, you got weird like masturbation rituals, dude.
Listen, when you tell it like so much. When you tell it like that, you're like, oh yeah, I brained myself on the thing and ended up getting the scar. You're like, no, I was in the French Foreign Legion and this is what I got. You're like, that's how you
see. That's what I tell the kids for like the the after school program. These are like 18-year-olds. I should probably be more candid with them. Also, if I have a seizure at school, I don't want them calling an ambulance. So, I have my little like what to do bracelet, and then I'm just gonna kind of make it a deal. Like, all right, welcome to class. On the way out, okay. If this happens, go knock on Ms. Insert name of co-teacher or neighbor here. Go knock on her door. She knows what to do. Don't call an ambulance. Just make sure I don't hurt myself. Like, it's fine.
So that incident was like over a year or about a year ago, right?
It was almost a year ago because it was November.
Yeah, it was a little bit before you came over to Cleveland.
Yeah.
My question is, like a follow-up question, is do you have like the stew from The Hangover Part 2, like side tattoo scar going on? Like
what does that look like?
A little higher. You got to go lean a little higher there. I think you should just grab Katie's makeup and just like put a little, make it a little darker every day. just so people it stands out a little bit. That'll work.
Well, you just tell people.
I don't want it to stand out.
Just tell people. Imagine what the other guy looks like.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be a pirate. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have a choice, sir. You don't have a choice. You're going to be a pirate whether you like it or not. That's what happens. Because realistically,
did we lose that list?
No,
I'll be sure.
He's been breaking up all day. Yeah. Listen.
Did you get Marcoed?
Yep, probably.
Did you get Marco Torres?
What's Marcoed?
Where you
what
just
happens
freeze
with Marco Torres?
Whenever Marco says, anything
Marco
about
says enough like controversial shit. The way he tells it is he's so far right that they, censor him or whatever. No. But like he legitimately pays top dollar for Wi-Fi and you can't tell. It might as well be McDonald's Wi-Fi. Like
as soon as he mentions like, if he mentions Hillary Rodham Clinton, boom, everything.
If he says anything remotely,
I need to get in
Joe Biden, Hillary. Anything left wing, they turn him off. He just goes out. Dude, it's hilarious. I've seen it in action a lot over the past like 3-4 years. It just happens. He'll say Hiller, and then it's God.
I need to get just an Ethernet cable because I'm sick of this happening. Yeah. I would rather like set up in the corner over there where my modem is and just be in like because I have these like big easy chairs just sitting in one of those. That'd be fine, I think.
Next time you get like a cable guy or a Wi-Fi guy or whatever come through, just ask them, hey, do you got any extra Ethernet cables? They'll always just give you one for free. They don't give a fuck.
I could also like just hit up the IT guy at my school. I'm sure he's
there.
Yeah, you just got a job and you're already stealing from work. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah,
I think that's
taking after me.
No, because like when I got, I was like, they were showing me like supply closet and stuff, and they're just.
Dino, you didn't see it, but I have like a whole fucking like 6-pound bag of dishwashing liquid. Where do you think that came from?
Interesting. Now, are we talking like the bags of milk you can get in Canada, or like what does it look like? Is it like a garbage bag?
It goes in a box.
Okay.
But if I had
I
had taken the box, they would have seen what was up. So I took the bag out of the box. It's the thing that goes in like the dispenser, and then you got the hoses and shit. Y'all have worked in restaurants, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it just sprays into the sink or whatever. So I took that out of the box, shoved it down my pants. And like I cut a hole in it and I pour it into my giant Dawn, because it's Dawn brand. So I got a big Dawn plastic container and I just pour it in there every like 6 months or so.
Well, that's impressive.
I've had it for like 2 years.
Wow, good job.
It's almost out. It's got one more fill.
Speaking of hard times, a governor has mentioned that she is asking residents to house migrant families as there is a growing shelter crisis. Now, you two are both renters. Would you even consider something like that?
So I rent an apartment, so
okay. I see where she's getting at, and like trying to solve the housing crisis and stuff. But there's the no housing soldiers thing in the Constitution. Like it's right fucking there, Yeah. I know they're not soldiers and everything, but
is Atlas Novak? Yeah,
it's different.
The Constitution.
It's different if she's like just kind of being like, hey, if you got the room, would you be willing to? Fine, that's okay. Yeah. But if she's being like everybody is taking in one like migrant person, then we got a problem, I think.
It's definitely
no, because there's like more fucking empty houses that aren't being used in America than there are homeless people.
That's true.
It's getting close, mind you. The homeless fucking rate is going up. There are starting to be homeless people in Cleveland, even like that's new. Like I'm not even playing when I say I've seen more recently in the past 6 months than I've ever seen in fuck shit. Dino, you got real fucking familiar with most of them when you were in town.
Yeah,
it's getting bad.
Listen, that's the whole thing though too, is that there are homes that are left empty because of corporate purchases, right?
Like
the housing crisis
and all them. Yeah.
Well, the housing crisis is manufactured to a degree, but also too is like wait, if I can afford my house, why do I have to open it up to other people? That's not. I don't pay to have roommates. I pay to not have roommates, right?
Right.
So, and it's like, oh well, be kind. I'm like, here, I'll buy you a tent. Go fuck yourself. I don't give a shit, right?
That should almost be like I don't like regulating what people do, how people make money. But with that said, housing should be like an individual's ordeal rather than a business. There shouldn't be a business name on a house, like the lease of a house or the deed of a house. That's just like
look, an industrial property, sure.
Yeah.
Like, an apartment building, maybe, but a home,
a house,
absolutely not. That doesn't make sense, right? Like,
it's super fucked. And like the most annoying part is seeing other countries just do this better than us. Like Finland is just giving homeless people homes, and it's working out pretty well.
Speaking of Finland,
Harrison State there, like I don't know, there's a lot of like I'm down for socialism 100%, but like I also think that if socialism doesn't if socialism if the leaders of the socialist country gets weird, then it's our fucking job to be like, hey, like calm down. Well, I'm big on that. There's
Finland isn't socialist, but like the whole thing where like, oh, socialism isn't perfect, therefore we shouldn't even try anything in that direction.
Capitalism,
capitalism isn't. You're not doing great either.
Nothing perfect.
Capitalism in the 50s and 60s, you're like, yeah, it's fantastic, right? Even in the
for
70s to a degree. But get over yourself.
Pino, was it you who said was it you who said capitalism is good for maybe 100 years and then after that just
well, world powers in general have lasted 250 years traditionally, and then they fall apart, which is, America's at 247. But also too, like capitalism is it's proving that it lasts a certain period of time, and then it gets too big for its britches, and everything falls apart, which is essentially bureaucracy run amok, and everybody's gone crazy, and that's what we're experiencing right now, because you have a bureaucracy that is more intent on it retaining or growing its authority and power versus it doing its job as best as possible. Like right now, most politicians, their job is not to represent their constituents, but instead their job is to get reelected. That makes no sense, right?
No. They did a thing in Ohio last week where it was vote by the people or the people's vote or whatever. Yeah. And it was called Issue 1 or whatever. You guys wouldn't be too familiar with it, but it was essentially deciding, the whole vote was basically saying, should we go to a 60% vote or a 50-50 vote plus one? Yeah. And Ohio's always been 50-50 plus one, and it was this big thing for the past year. Vote yes, vote no, issue one, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And the 50 plus 50. one
by a lot.
It won by a lot here. Mm-hmm. And I'm a firm believer of 50-50 plus one. But really, I'm just a firm believer of that style of voting. Let's just get rid of our big, maybe we still need a president. Maybe we still need a governor, but we don't need all this Congress and these senators and maybe we need a Supreme Court justice, but their opinion. But we need what do you want? What do you guys want? Let's vote on it. Yes or no? Do you like this? You know what I mean? I like that every year or so.
I think it should be.
That's democracy, by the way. What we're doing is republics. They keep saying that we're a democracy. Yeah. We're not. We're a republic.
We're a representative democracy or whatever. But I do think we don't need a House and Senate. You could probably just do House.
Well, yeah.
I don't know what the difference is. If I'm being honest with you.
So senators every state gets 2, no matter what the size of the state is. So the states that are smaller have more power in the Senate because they will get 2 senators.
Less people, more senators. Yeah,
exactly. Versus representatives are by population.
Right.
So
Texas has 3 or 4.
Yeah. So for example, Wyoming has I think 4 or something like that, and then like California has a fuck ton because there's a fuck ton more people.
Right.
So at the same time, though, I feel like an easier way to not completely fuck over the little guy by getting rid of the Senate and just keeping the House is you have less about like who won the states and versus who won this many representatives
and the electoral college and all that kind of stuff, which makes no sense whatsoever, right? Like, but that's the problem is like the idea should be that the majority rules. If you don't like the majority, go somewhere else where the majority exists, right? Because ultimately, what happens is
do you have that news story where Russia is like, hey, we're gonna make like a mostly Christian society for all the right-wing people in the US who are sick of it?
Oh my
Please
God.
tell me you have it on the docket.
No, I don't have that.
Damn. All right.
So I was reading an article where they're like they've also created one for white farmers in South Africa who are suffering from crime. And they're like, don't worry, you come to Russia, you become Orthodox, everything is fine. You're like, that's not a good offer. But what I was leaning towards was specifically like the problem is with 50-50 plus 1 is you have representation of people who are active, right? And that allows people like this who are like, everyone should just eat tropical vegetables, and then they fucking die. And you're like, that person shouldn't get a vote. They are obviously they have mental issues, right?
Dino has one hell of a segue skill. That is,
he's great at it.
He's so good at it. Like I see, like on paper, I agree with it, but there's all this history of, especially like during Jim Crow and post-Reconstruction in the U.S., where you would have like, citizenship tests or like tests where they would prevent black people from voting by being like, oh man, you didn't pass, when like it doesn't matter if they did or not. It's
exactly.
Proctor. So like it's one of those things where that idea was ruined by racist white people. Therefore, like no matter how much you agree with it, there's no way to do it without collectively conking everybody on the head and making them forget 200 years of history.
I think that still works. But like, the idea, think about it this way. But realistically, people are like, you shouldn't have to produce ID. No, everyone should produce ID. You know why? Because that's insane, right? And then they're like, oh, there are areas that people can't get ID. You're like, okay, fix that first. How about that? These people have a hard time getting ID.
In America, in America, look this up. Atlas is going to argue with me, but I know for a fact, I've seen it with my own eyes, that identification, at least paying for identification, any kind of licensing, is against the Constitution. Tell me why I have to get a fishing license, I have to get a driver's license. I get why I got to get a driver's license, but it says I'm not supposed to pay for it. I can get why you might want me to pay, like to take the tests and all that. Why I gotta get a fishing license? Get the fuck out of here! Y'all are just making money.
Wow,
y'all are just making money. That's all. I
mean, like,
yeah, that's true.
Again, I don't disagree with taxation and that kind of thing, as long as it's used for stuff that's like helpful. Roads and bridges and schools and shit like that.
Most of it's just to give somebody a job. Most of it, that's all they use it
very
for.
True.
And that's fine. Like,
Well, yeah, but they make a job. They will make. There are tons of people not doing shit who work for the government. Have you ever been to the BMV? There's like 6 people in the BMV who aren't doing a damn thing.
Is he saying BMV? Like B as in boy?
No.
Okay, I know he means DMV, but
it's BMV in Ohio. Sorry, my bad. The Bureau of Motor Vehicles.
Oh.
Okay, it's the DMV in Texas, which I prefer.
It's the DMV in California too.
Okay, but I call it the DMV just because that's what I'm used to now.
Okay.
So
it's Ministry of Transportation of Ontario here, so it's MTO. Anyway, so
it's even worse.
Well, think about it this way. So I went there because they were like, "Hey, your license expired." I was like, "Shit!" So I drove there because I'm like, I don't give a shit.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do.
Not enough good public transit.
Mine's been walking distance, to be fair.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Also true. So I pull in there and then they're like, okay, so the wait time is 3.5 hours. And I'm like, cool. But so there's an electronic queue. So you sign up for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a lady. So it's like, if you want, you can just sit down and wait, or you can talk to this lady. And the lady's like, just stay in line and I'll get to you. And when you go in line, she goes, hey, what are you here for? And I'm like, oh, so I just have to renew my license. Apparently it's thing. She goes, okay, here, boom. Here you go. They'll call you in like half hour. And so she has an expedited line for things that aren't complex. And I fucking love it. It's fucking badass because people are like, I am trying to transfer my this, and she's like, normal line, 3 hours.
Yeah.
What is the other line?
Yeah, because that's a nightmare for everyone who's working there. So it's like there was the efficient, where it's like, hey, I'm just here to renew something. I just boom, 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 I'm out. And then there was, hey, you're gonna cause a problem for everybody. Yeah, well, fuck you. 3 hours, eat shit and die. Right?
Yeah.
Either figure your own shit properly, or if we're gonna have to do it, good, you're gonna have to wait in line. That's fine.
To
and
be
I'm like,
fair, though, anytime you go to the DMV, they're always like, you need this letter and you need this fucking birth certificate and you need like the blood of your firstborn son and he has to be dead. Like
your social security card. That's I think what annoys me the most about it is like if you've memorized it and then they look it up and then you have your like, okay, I need to renew my license before my birthday this next year.
Yeah.
And the thing where like you need your social security card, I'm like, okay, if you look up the number on the social security, you will see my name. My still technically valid license also has my name.
And
why is that not good enough? Why do I need the physical social security card? I gotta go all the way the fuck to Santa Monica to my mom's house and pick it up. I don't want to go do that.
Hey, the worst part is when people are like, well, this license is expired. I'm like, oh, does it not have my picture on there? They're like, yeah. And my name. Yeah. Is that not my face? They're like, yeah. I'm like, but it's expired. And I'm like, that is not the point, you dumb idiot.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
so
bureaucracy gonna bureaucracy. It's annoying.
So like 3 years ago, me and my brother were getting like high as shit, right? And we were just like, I don't know why, but we just like started looking at each other's like driver's license. Well, he has an ID, he doesn't drive, but because he's the loser. But I showed my driver's license, and he posted out his ID, and we were like we were making fun of each other's pictures and whatnot, and all the info on it. And then I happened to see, I was like, why does yours say F? And we're looking at it, and mine says M, and his is F, and it's where sex is. And so they have him under female. Oh, and then I made fun of him. I was like, yeah, you're my favorite sister for like years. And then 100%. last year he got it renewed. I was like, did you change the sex? He was like, God damn it. It still says female.
That poor, wait, I can't say bastard. That poor bitch.
You can say bastard. I'm one. It's fair. You know a bastard.
I know. I mean, just like,
look, in this day and age, awesome. He's like, I'm
yeah, especially with like the I identify shit. Like that's hilarious. I'm like, my brother identifies as a female. He's like, no, I don't.
Yeah,
that something like that happened. Something like that happened to me. I can't remember what it was. Where I needed I think it was my birth certificate, something like that. And oh no, now I remember what it was. It was when I was switching from like one like insurance, health insurance provider to another.
Yeah.
And then when I transferred, they were like, "Hey, it says female here." I'm like, "Oh, it's like a typo," and they're like, "No, it said female the entire time." So I went back to my parents and I was like, "Please explain." And they were like, "Yeah." So when we were filling out the forms when I was pregnant, before I figured out, that you were a boy, I really wanted a girl, so I tried to like kind of manifest it. And I was like, Mom, that works for like
nothing.
After you're born? Like
no, because she was filling out like with the name and everything before birth, and then because you do last name and then fill in the rest once you actually have the kid in your arms.
Wait for the screaming to end, and then put it in her arms. That's fine.
Yeah. So she really wanted a girl. I was like, and nobody saw it the entire time during my circumcision. Nothing.
So that actually
got anybody to go M. So basically, kind of the same thing. I was just it cracked me up that happened.
How could it not?
That's actually hilarious.
Listen, speaking of manifesting things, now we have news that the Black Panther for White Woman, the Barbie movie, has cracked $1 billion.
Hey,
that is funny. She did manifest that because in her little like, they casted her before the movie was even like
true.
Like whatever. She told like I don't know who owns Barbie, but like whoever owns Barbie,
Mattel.
Okay, they own Power Rangers too, I think. But Side note.
And yeah, He-Man. I don't do a good Skeletor.
I want to see a Power Rangers Barbie crossover now,
Would love
but
to.
I
she
just
said,
want to see
"Oh, this
Barbie
movie
and
can
the
make
Pink
$1
Ranger.
billion." So she did manifest that.
Listen,
so you're
I
right.
just want to see Barbie and the Pink Ranger, but the Pink Ranger from like when it started.
Yeah, fucking Kim, whatever the fuck. Oh my
Didn't-
god,
Didn't
dude!
she
Like,
die of cancer or something
Joe
like that? or-
Johnson.
no, that was Tommy, and he killed himself.
No, it was the Yellow Ranger. She was the
That's
the
right.
Asian
No,
lady.
she died in a car accident.
She died in a car accident. Yeah.
So many of the original Power Rangers are dead now.
Yeah, and the ones that still are around is the one weirdo, the Blue Ranger, which you're like, that's gay, and then the Black Ranger, who was also black, which you're like,
I resent that because he's actually gay.
We all knew. Let's
We
be
all knew.
honest.
We
There's
could
no
tell.
question. You're like, hey, the Blue Ranger's like.
But
Joey over
Tommy's
there.
dead, guys. This is
Is Tom-
he's the first fucking Ranger. He's dead.
Also known as the
Rip the Green
Censored
Ranger.
Ranger.
Did
Hey,
you guys watch
Tommy was the
see the
censored
Barbie movie? I know you did because you went to the double feature.
I
What
haven't
about you?
seen it yet. I just haven't had time. I really want to.
Katie took me to see it. I was kind of lukewarm about it. She saw it with her girlfriends and was like so
It's a
into
girl
it.
She
movie.
feeling
Like,
power.
It is a chick flick, and she was like, "You have to go see this." I'm like, "All right,
guys,
go check it out."
guys, I love chick flicks. That is like my guilty
Yeah.
pleasure.
They're kind of fun.
Them and romantic comedies. I don't know what it is, but
I
the
saw-
daytime thing comes out real quick.
I saw the 2019 Little Women in theaters 3 times.
Okay, that's too far.
First time was with my
I don't
family.
know if I've ever even heard of that.
Second time was by myself, and then the third time I was on a date, and she's
You
like,
went by yourself? That's gay.
Yeah.
Liars, that's
No.
super gay. Bro, that's
It-
Blue Ranger.
I
That's
would
Blue
have
Ranger.
defended you if you were like, yeah, I was like, I put it on Netflix
No,
or whatever
no,
in
no,
my living
no.
room. I was
No,
drunk.
I-
But you went to go see it.
I just really liked it. The third time
You
was
paid $6 for popcorn, $5 for a Coke,
yeah.
and you saw.
The third time was because I was on a date with a girl, and she was like, "I want to see it. Have you seen it?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." And then just
Ooh, yeah.
so-
I used to do
so-
that too.
Yeah, so it was just kind of because she was like, "If you've seen it, I don't want to go." I could tell she wanted to see it. I was like, "All right, I'll watch it again." The only thing I didn't like about the 2019 Little Women was Bob Odenkirk as their dad. Like the end of the movie, like Dad's home from the Civil War, and they come in and it's like, "Oh, it's Dad." That's Mr. Show. All right, I can't not see him as Saul, Mr. Show.
Saul Goodman, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, he's good in Nobody. Have you seen that
Yeah.
yet? Where he was
Yeah.
like the hitman or whatever?
Yeah,
I enjoyed
That
it.
was a good ass movie.
I was kind of sad
Dude
that it
can
didn't get
act.
more.
still
You did a
Mr.
great
Show.
job. You did a great job. You did a great job, but also at the same time, you're kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't find him threatening at all. So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
weird.
He's like today's what was it? What's Bruce Willis? He's like today's Bruce Willis in my opinion. Because Bruce Willis wasn't
He was comedy.
he was a comic. He did not comic, but he did comedies and romantic comedies.
The
and he
show is
did like a
called
soap opera
Moonlighting.
and shit, and then he
called
became this
Moonlighting.
badass, you know.
Listen, the show was called Moonlighting. It was fantastic. It was hilarious, and he was great. And he showed up Sybil Shepherd, and it ruined her career.
Let's give the old man his moment. Who remembers the names and the titles and everything?
Speaking of trauma that people have masturbated to, also too, we have Cat Valentine is now bumping. They're touching each other wiener with SpongeBob SquarePants. You guys, this is your generation stuff. In my opinion, I'm just like they're two midgets who are touching each other's wieners. It's weird. I don't think little people should procreate. One should be tall, so you got to gamble, and hopefully they get adult height. But
No, we need short people. Short people end up being like good leaders, like Napoleon, Genghis Khan. Like
Was Genghis Khan short? I don't know how tall he was.
Yeah, no, he's the reason why. No, this. Now I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this,
all right,
but he's the reason why Asians are short, because like
that's not
Asians
true.
are typically shorter than the average rest of the men in the world, because Genghis Khan would kill anyone who was taller than him, and he was like 5'7", 5'8", somewhere around there. They'd say, which was tall for the time, but like he killed enough people to lower the carbon footprint.
That I know.
So
No,
he murdered anybody who's taller than him. He did not like people who were taller than him at all.
like realistically, maybe he was an avid moviegoer, and he was like, just no, absolutely not.
The story I always heard was they would take like a cart and then have a linchpin, and then anybody who walked by that was taller than the linchpin, that's who they'd kill. I didn't know it was him specifically.
Well, I don't know if he did it specifically, but I know he ordered the hit at the very least.
Okay.
Listen, a lot of people deserve to die back then. That's fair. It's only reasonable. Listen, speaking of bureaucracy gone mad, there's a D1 basketball player who tried to pass a urine test, and it turns out he is pregnant. In this day and age,
are you assuming his gender, Dino?
Yes, I am.
That one wasn't so good for a second. Swing and a miss on that one.
They're not all winners, okay, you two?
Okay. I know. But it's fun to make fun of, so it's fine.
I have a story about that.
What, about getting pregnant?
Not, I mean, kind of, but like there's no like resolution to the story. It's kind of a dumb story, but like this is how dumb I am. I was trying to, my baby mama, I knocked her up, right? She was pregnant at the time, and I was, just because she got pregnant doesn't mean I'm gonna quit smoking weed. Like, and this was when I was smoking weed like a lot. Like I'm knocking down an eighth a week, like just, you know, cheese and tongue style type of shit, which eighth a week is probably pretty normal, but for me it's a lot. Yeah. And I'm trying to get this job because I'm 21 and I'm trying to be responsible. I'm gonna be a dad soon or whatever. So I get this job. I'm up for this job at this warehouse or whatever, and they have a drug test, which is dumb. But I'm like, I need you to pee in this cup for me because you don't smoke weed right now because you're pregnant. And she's like, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, I don't know if that, like, yeah, we established this. And she's like, no, it's going to come up as pregnant if you take if you take my piss and use it. I'm like, they're not testing for pregnancies. They're testing for marijuana. They don't care about pregnancy. And she's, me and her, this is the only time, by the way, where she argued with me and she was right.
Oh yeah.
So wait, how'd that turn out for you in the end?
I didn't use it because she wouldn't let me, but
okay.
I was so dumb.
She didn't trust the science. She didn't trust the science. It's fine.
I was like, they're not testing for babies, they're testing for weed. Like,
listen, speaking of things that are confusing, speaking of things that are confusing for no reason, interestingly enough, this news article says the first time ever no men were nominated for Video of the Year at the VMAs. However, in their picture, they include Sam Smith, who is no longer a man. Things are getting way too confusing these days.
If you look like me, you don't get to claim you're not a man. I'm sorry. I am a truck driving looking man. Okay. If you're built like me, just call it like it is. If it quacks like a duck, if it chirps like a duck, if it flaps its wings like a duck, it's not a fucking chicken.
Listen, in all honesty, though, I have met women who all do look like they are part Wookiee. So, like, I get it, but at the same time, you're like,
there's a difference between man titties and titties, though.
Well, you're trying to be accommodating to people, and then you're making facts up, right? Like, so it's like, hey, he goes by they. All right, man, whatever. You do you. But then saying, well, there are no men. You're like, that's not.
There are men.
Like,
there
are
people
ridiculous,
who are men.
I think with the whole they them thing, like, I'm trying my best over here to remember.
Well, they'll crucify you if you get it wrong.
I know, and like,
you're in the worst place in the world to get it wrong at.
One of my best friends is, non-binary, and I call them she, like, more than I'm happy with myself for doing, and it's not on purpose. It's just like a muscle memory thing. Because when I first met them, I knew them as a woman. Yeah. And it just takes a while to undo that. And like they're good about like me correcting myself or like they or whatever. Yeah. And like I think as long as you're okay with the person trying their best, fine. But if they're being a dick about it and just being like, I'm calling them I'm detonating them.
I mean, like, that's fair though, because like I have a friend who goes by Ahmed now. Yeah. But his name was originally James, and he's a Muslim, and the Nation of Islam changed his name or whatever. Yeah, and I fuck up and call him James. Everyone, it's like, dude, You were James when I met you. You're James forever. I hate to break it to you. It's your nickname now. It's not your real name. It's your nickname now. I don't know what to tell you. Like it's just what it is. It's who I'm gonna remember you as. Everybody new doesn't get that pass, but everybody old should be grandfathered in a little bit. You know, as long as they're trying. You know.
Yeah.
Well, look,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
the same thing as people who change schools for a couple of years, then come back and they're like, "Oh, I go by Drew now." You're like, "I don't give a shit. I didn't give a shit about you then. I don't give a shit about you now. Go fuck yourself, right?" Like it's at some point you're like, listen, the journey for someone who is making that change is very difficult, but there are about this many people that are actually doing it. The rest are just like, I'm different. You're like, you're not. You're just an idiot. So,
Well, that's true too, because like I go by my real name is Clay, and if you call me Clay, I'm gonna answer to it. If you call me Cole, which most of you people y'all call me Cole, and I answer to it. Yeah. There's only one person who calls me both names. That's Joey Edibles. He calls me both, and that's just because he knows a girl that I dated who I can't when I date women. I'm like, my real name's Clay, just because I'm not trying to like Ted Kennedy you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying.
Or like, so my sister's name is Phoebe, but that's her middle name, technically.
Oh.
Nobody calls her Hannah.
Yeah.
It's just kind of how it is. But on, documents, Hannah, Phoebe, Novak. Yeah. And at the same time, just everybody who knows her calls her Phoebe, because the reason being is my dad fought hard for the name Hannah. Yeah. And then my mom wanted the name Phoebe, and then my mom took her to the park, and there were like 8,000 Hannahs, and she's like, "I'm just gonna call her Phoebe."
So I have a theory about this. For my generation, the original catfish was people who went by their initial and their name, like F. Scott, whatever, and you're like, that's not your name. You're just fucking lying, right?
Yeah.
My grandfather's name is GE, and for the longest time I was like, "What does that stand for?" And he was like, "It's just GE. I'm from East Texas." I'm like,
what's his middle name? D?
No, that's it. G.E. Casper. That's his whole name. There's no middle name.
Dino got it.
There's no first name. It's just G.E. Casper. G.E. Casper. That's his first name is G. His middle name is E. Yeah. He goes by G.E. Yeah. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life.
It's like a W.E.B. Du Bois thing going on, right?
But it's very badass. Like, oh, I'm G.E. And you're like, Jesus, this is fucking like he might shoot people. Like that's.
And he was a Korean vet or Korean War vet.
Definitely shoot people.
Fuck with him.
He definitely shot people.
He's the only person that took a belt to me in my entire life. I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm being fucking killed by a war vet right now. I think it's
at least the only one that did it for free.
Right.
That's
This is a flashback.
Well, listen. Speaking of things that are confusing now, here's an article. Man caught spiking his female date's drinks with Viagra to make sure they don't get boners, because you never know anymore these days. That's fucking hilarious.
It's
out of curiosity, what happens if a woman takes Viagra? Does it say in the story, or
nothing?
No, nothing happens. Nothing happens. There's a lady. So there was another article I read where a guy was dosing women with lady Viagra, and that makes them a little bit crazy.
That's kind of rapey, because that's like the equivalent of like a love potion.
Yes, but also too, a woman could just be like, I just got to get out of here and handle my business,
Okay, so like, there's this one girl though I dated who I found out she was trying different like Wiccan spells to get me to fall in love with her, and that's the same thing.
As women do.
That's some weird ass shit. Women be on some. You gotta watch them. Listen, if science isn't working, they'll resort to witchcraft. So you gotta watch them. Atlas, you're about to get married. I'm queuing in on you, man.
Be wary of any plucked hairs and or small.
Yeah, if you find anything dolls that look familiar.
Katie was never really into the whole Wiccan thing. Like, kind of, sort of astrology.
She knows what she's doing.
Yeah. It's fine. It doesn't really bother me all that much. her being look, I play trading card games for fun. She can be into astrology. I don't give a shit. You know?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
They will, Cole. They will. They will. So I don't know which thing he's responding to.
Cast the spell.
You know why I hate astrology? And I actually wanted to get into it like a little bit, just to have something to talk about with women.
Yeah.
But
that's a mistake.
As a Taurus, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. No woman wants to date me when they find out what
you're a Taurus
astrological sign is, and I'm like, fuck this goddamn calendar.
You can just lie.
People find out I'm a Pisces, and like it's very much a coin flip. I've noticed.
Bro, I have an entire bit about that I'm working on that I'm still trying to piece together. Where I'm like, during the pandemic, everyone learned a side hustle. My side hustle was I would give fortunes over the phone, but I didn't know what I was doing, so I just make shit up. So one of the things I said was, you have a zebra in Alpha Flight. And because that sounds astrological, because like, what is that? I've never heard of that. I'm like, you've never heard of that? It's easy. So it's a zebra because it's neither good nor bad. It's just an event. But it's an Alpha Flight because it's just starting to come off the ground and just starting to happen. So be wary of new things happening. And people are like, oh my God. And I'm like, that's all made up, you dumb shits. Like, it's just, that's the best part, is you could just make stuff up. Speaking of made things up, a lot of news has been happening this past week. So somebody made a Venn diagram to show where news articles cross paths. And I'll just show it to you because I don't think I'm allowed to say it, hence we get a strike. But it's between Lizzo and Anthony Fauci.
Well, that's not entirely incorrect.
Just going to say it. I'm finding the fact that she has already been pulled from the Super Bowl halftime show is hilarious.
Okay, have you ever had like somebody you've been really into, like an artist or a movie star or whatever, do some heinous shit like that and get canceled?
Kid Rock, yeah.
How do you feel at the time when that happens?
They were right. Kid Rock is like a wacko. Look at it.
Kevin Spacey, you're like, guy, have you seen that?
I mean, listen to his music.
I love.
It's fine.
He's not a role model. Yeah. You know, like.
But I'm saying, like at the time, like Katie was kind of sad when she found out that Lizzo, because she loves Lizzo, and then.
Sure.
I kind of saw it.
Yeah.
When she was like, I just took a DNA test. I'm 100% that bitch. I was like,
and you're like. Yeah,
she's got some ego issues, and like that's normal in rap.
Yes,
but I don't know. It just felt like something's gonna come out about her. You know, like
you don't get to that level of fame and following without having some issues in general, right?
Well, anybody who's like known as like a badass in any like, if you go back as far as history goes, any badass in history, you can like not therapists but psychologists look back on the history of them. Like Alexander the Great, they were like, he was probably a homosexual sociopath. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot going on at the time. You know, like Napoleon. They're all fucking. So even that's still you get those people now. And most of them are all fucking psychos, you know? Like, what do you expect?
And that goes back to the idea, though, that like power corrupts and ultimate power ultimately corrupts, right? There's no, you can't, the human condition is not meant to be at that level. I know I'm saying that in the process of all three of us trying to get monetized on YouTube and become famous, which it makes it hilarious. But
I don't care about fame. I just want to get rich. Like, that's all. I just want to be able to pay my bills and buy an occasional Xbox game and every amount of weed that I want. And like anytime I roll up to the club, any bitch that I want, I can have. But other than that, I don't care about fame.
See, I'm more so, I'm like, I just want to be in a situation where I'm like, because I'm like, I've had stuff and I'm like, stuff doesn't make you happy, but I'm like, I just want to be able to go on vacation, be able to contribute things, being able to, like, oh, I have a bill coming. Like, I don't want to be in a situation where, oh no, there's a bill. What am I going to do? Like that. That's not a good.
That's what it is. It's like, I want to be rich, but not have to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I guess the only way to do that is to be famous. There's no other way to do that. So
right now, it seems like the easiest way. And realistically, you're like, OnlyFans doesn't let dudes on there and make money. So, what are you gonna do?
get on there. I developed a plan, and we all three of us could do it. Like not together, not at the same time, not as a group thing, but we could all do it. We just clean our houses in our Calvin Klein underwear.
Listen, I've gone from a 3XL down to a 1XL. I'm down.
We could do it.
Wait, you're in 1XL, dude. You're like on the edge of my
just
weight.
call it an XL here.
Listen,
yeah.
Let's be honest. So the funny thing is, when I sent Cole a picture that I was down to 265.8, he was like, "Oh, this fat fuck's not getting smaller than me." So he's down to 245.
Yeah, he's showed me 275 while I was at 265. I was like, So I started I started like legitimately. I've been exercising like a motherfucker and eating salads. And
so we all
shit is brown now. Like it's been green and yellow for probably 2 years. Now it's brown again, which is apparently good. And my underwear, it doesn't fall down. Like y'all know what I'm talking about. When you're fat, your underwear falls down.
It rolls down.
Yeah, it rolls down. It doesn't hold you quite right. It kind of glides down to your knees. It fits me now. Me now.
Hilariously, so I outweigh Cole by 20 pounds ish, 15
right now.
Right? So the funny thing is that like the standing beside him, I'm like, he's not as broad as I am, right? So I'm a bigger person, but he's also got like a beer gut that just like just right out front.
Dude, that's where all my fat is. It's stupid. I don't have any fat anywhere else. It's just like I'm holding like 75 pounds on my stomach. It's the weirdest shit.
Whereas I hold it everywhere, and it's just like I also have like bones of steel that are just it's hilarious. But it's
because I eat beef nonstop. I'll eat like 7 helpings of fucking hamburger helper. Like I don't know what it is, but that shit is so good.
Which is funny because the hamburger helper isn't the beef part.
It's not.
It's the pasta for sure, but it's pasta. I said pasta with like quotations because it's not pasta; it's noodles.
It's something, but hey. Anyways, I think that is the end for the news that we have for today. In the meantime, if anyone would like, please feel free to comment and like this, share it with other people because it's absolutely ridiculous. And just to mess with people, be like, "Oh, it's a new news program," because let's be honest, that's hilarious.
I know that dramatic sting you have at the beginning has nothing to do with news.
No,
which makes it.
We do get
just the stuff in the news.
Talk
about it, kind of.
The best part is like we got hit with copyright, but not like a copyright strike. So that sound is allowed by the owner of it on YouTube, so it's fine. But
we can't monetize it.
We can't monetize it, which I'm like, that's fine. In the meantime, I'm Dino the Genetic Marvel. You can find me everywhere. You are
Snipping Glue 22. You can find me everywhere.
Still one of the greatest. And
you can find me at Atlas Novak, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, my YouTube channel, The Epileptic Comic, or my other podcast at Nexus at Night, or the podcast I run with Dino, Generation Dan. God damn it, I can't get the pointing right. Yeah.
Atlas, you need to figure out how to copyright your name because
definitely
that is a cool as Atlas Novak is like as cool as Indiana Jones. Like you should come up with like a cartoon or something.
Which is funny because I just started a character on my TikTok called California Jones, and it's just like quintessentially California thing. So the first one is like he's hunting for an apartment with the fucking Indiana Jones stuff going on in the background.
If there's something you want us to talk about during the news, guys, send it to us. In the meantime, these bastards won't stop talking. So have a great night, and I'll see you guys later. We'll be back next week around this time. Later.
Bye, everyone.